everyone, and welcome to Teach and Write. My name is Amy Flowers, and I am so excited that you are learning how to write a research paper along with me. And now you're ready for your next assignment, and that's to research your very own rare, obscure animal. So let's get started with today's lesson. It's a fun one. For today's lesson, you need the items that are up on the screen. I have 2 printables that you need. If you need a link to those printables, just check out the comments section beneath this video. You also need an electronic device. If you need time to go grab those supplies, no worries, just press pause and then rejoin when you're ready. We have 3 learning points today. You'll be citing your source. You will be scanning the text for information, and you will be stopping to jot down the facts. Today is an exciting day. You'll be researching your very own animal. In the past, we've been working on the goblin shark as a whole group. Today, each of you will individually have a different animal. In front of you, up on the screen here, you can see the list of obscure animals. Now, there are a couple of different ways of doing this. You can just pick one and make sure that it's different from the other people in your class or in your group. Or, if you'd like, you can cut this up and just go along the dotted edges and cut it into the smaller pieces and then draw. Like, close your eyes, pick one, and that's the animal you have. Either way, I want you to pause the video, decide which animal that you want to research, and once you have committed to that animal, you can then start the video again. I know that you are probably super excited to just jump into the research part and learn all about the animal you just selected. However, before we do that, I just want to go over how you find a reliable source. Today, I'll be giving you 4 possible websites in which you can find the information for your animal. Sometimes those websites will not offer the information about your animal, or if they do, it may be limited. So you may have to do your own search. And that leads me to this question. How do you know if the website that you have found, if that's a reliable source? You want to be sure that that source that you are going to on the websites is valid, that it is a true site that you can get information. I have 3 steps. So look at the first one. The first one says, check the domain name. In the URL, does it end with .edu or .gov? If so, it's most likely credible. Consider the organization's purpose and agenda to determine if it's biased. I doubt we'll have bias on animals. However, for future reference, it's really important to see it through that lens. So, check out the domain name. Step 2, to make sure that a source is reliable, go to that landing page and then see if you can find the date that it was last updated or the date that it was last published or posted. Also, look to see if an author is credited for writing that article. Very important. And finally, use multiple sources. Really important to look at 2+ resources, because if you go with just one, you're only going to take that information and go, that's it. That's all I've got. However, once you go to 2 sources, you can see that they'll offer different information. Maybe information that was left out in the first one, but now you have it in the second one. Sometimes you can see the information conflicting. One source might say this and the other source may say this, and they are the opposite. If that's the case, go to source number 3. Okay, so let's rewind and review. If you do not find the information you need using the websites that I'm about to present to you on the next screen, you may have to do a search. If you do a search, you need to make sure that your source is reliable. Follow these 3 steps. Look for .edu and .gov at the end of the domain name. If it is a topic down the road that you are researching, you need to make sure that there is no bias. Secondly, you need to look for that date and the author's name. The date needs to be posted, published somewhere on the page of the article. You also should have an author that gets credit for finding that information. Finally, use multiple sources. I can't stress that enough. You must not just go with one source. You need to go with 2, 3, 4 sources. For our purposes, I'm good with 2 sources. If your teacher wants to add 3 sources, and that's totally fine. My students had to go to 3 sources. Some went to 4 sources in order to find all the information for their subtopics. It's just kind of a case-by-case thing, but that's also real life. And you just have to get used to understanding, hey, I need to flex here. I've got to pivot and figure out if I need to look up more information. I'm going to give you some websites that have most of the animals that I have given you for the list of obscure animals. So let me give that to you now. Here's the list of websites. You can use the QR code or the link that is provided. We've already used A to Z Animals. We've already used National Geographic Kids. The extra 2, Ducksters and the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Explorers, offer quite a bit of information, and they may have all the animals that you have in your classroom. I hope so. But if not, you now know how to find that reliable source. For the remainder of class, you are going to be researching your animal. You need to first cite the source. And again, you're making sure that there is a date and an author's name attached to the article where you're getting your information. Then you're going to use that graphic organizer to fill out the subtopics: physical characteristics, habitat, diet, and unusual facts. You may need multiple pages of that so that you can go to multiple sites. Again, 2+ sites is the best scenario. So today, my friends, you will have covered 3 learning points. By the end of today, you should be citing your sources. You should be scanning the text for the information to fill in for our 4 subtopics. And finally, you should be able to stop and jot down those key words and phrases. Please don't write those sentences because we don't want to plagiarize. And this prevents us. It puts a buffer so we're not copying. We're just grabbing those key words and phrases to put in our own sentences later. Well done. You have done the research and you're finding the information about your particular animal. Join me in the next lesson, in which we look at an informative model or a research paper so that you can understand exactly how to write this paper. I mean, how do you take all the information and all the cool facts that you know about your animal and organize it into a really structured format so that you can relay your information to your readers? How do you start your paper? I've got you. In the next lesson, I'm going to give you a model and you'll be color coding it to understand what parts are essential for you to have in your informative paper. Join me in the next lesson to look at that model.